everyone. This is Brittnee Bonds, and welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm coming on to do a little special episode about my first date that I had last night. I am feeling very juicy and soft and sensual today, and also kind of sleepy because I didn't get that much sleep. And also I was excited to share this with you. So here's my little love story in motion. I also have full permission from this handsome man to share this story. And I'm changing his name. So, yeah, I haven't been on a first date in a while, and my last first date was pretty terrible. I met, the last first date that I had on the island, I'll share this story with you before I go into my juicy story from last night. It was basically I matched with this Israeli man on Bumble, and we met up at a restaurant on the beach on Koh Phangan. And I just disclaimer, I have so many Israeli friends. I have nothing to say in this podcast about what's happening in Israel, except for I do not support violence. I do not support anyone killing anyone of any reason. So I was happy and excited to go on this date with this man. And, he's very attractive. We hit it off and everything. And then it hits this point in the conversation where he was like, I want to ask you, do you want to have kids? And I said, yeah, of course I want to have kids, well, not of course, but I think for me, it's such a realization, since I did ayahuasca. It's a funny little side note. I did ayahuasca, and before I did ayahuasca, I thought I didn't want kids. I told people for many years, no, there's too many people in the world already, and the world feels like it's ending. Why do I want to bring children into this? And then I did ayahuasca and realized, oh, of course I want to have kids. That was the feeling I had during the trip, was that is just a part of me, that mom energy, that nourishing, wanting to just pour my love onto these beautiful children and bring them into the world. And I was just really scared to bring them into a world that is the way it is right now. I think a lot of us maybe feel this, right? And I was just scared I wouldn't be able to protect them. And then the ayahuasca helped me with that. So anyways, I told this guy, I want to have kids. And he said, well, something that's really important for me is I think that they need to go into the Israeli army. And I was like, first off, this guy now lives in America. He's Israeli American and I'm American. So technically, unless this child would be born, just in the projected future, if this guy and I were to ever have kids, unless we were the child was born in Israel, lived in Israel, legally, they don't need to go into the army. And he was like, even if they're not born there, I still want them to go through the army. And I was like, why? You want them? You want to, your children have not even been born yet and you want them to go to war? And he was like, I just think it's really good character building. And I was like, this is something that I just told him, I said, respectfully, I disagree. This is my opinion and I honor your opinion, but this is a deal breaker for me. I'm not going to put my kids voluntarily into war zones. And that's just my personal preference. And it also just showed some very core value differences that we had. And then I just felt these moments in dates where you're yeah, this is just not going to work. And so after that, I was just kind of nice, but I just didn't feel as connected. And I said this to him, I was I just don't feel connected anymore. I think I'm going to go. And he said, well, you know what we can do? Why don't we just make out and we'll see if the connection comes? And I just looked at him and I was like, yeah, no, thank you. I'm good. What the fuck? So then I went to the bathroom and then I came back and the waitress said, oh, your friend just left. Someone needs to pay the bill. So this guy fucking just walked out and didn't even pay for his part of the meal. And I was just like, what the heck? And I was so angry, and I just paid for it all. And then I saw him at the gym, like on Koh Phangan. We have a very small island. So I saw him at Zantiva, like my local gym there, like the next week in the sauna area. And I just looked at him, and I was just like, I didn't even have like anything to say. I was like, bye. So anyways, that was like my first date that I had on the island. The last first date I had on the island. And it wasn't great. So, but I just got to LA. I'm like feeling bubbly. I'm feeling like I want to meet people. And so, like, open the dating apps and matched with this guy who just hit it off immediately in the chat. And then he invited me to dinner. And yesterday I was already in Santa Monica playing volleyball with my friends on the beach. And so we made a plan where he came over, and we went to this really cute restaurant called The Fig. It's like on the strip of like Venice Beach, and ate some really yummy food. We were like the last ones there, and like everyone had already left. It felt like a movie. Like they were just like closing up. They're like, you guys can stay, and we were just like connecting so much and just vibing like really hard. And then the restaurant's right on the beach, and so it's like maybe like 10 o'clock at this time, and he was like, do you want to go somewhere else? And I said, yeah. And so he starts opening his phone to see if there's like another place open. And, like I don't drink alcohol, so I don't really want to go hang out in a bar. And I'm from Thailand. Like, I'm from Thailand. I feel that. I feel like I'm from Thailand. But like I've lived in Thailand for almost 10 years. And so for me, like going on a date is like we go into nature, like I don't need to go sit in a restaurant or a bar or something. And so I just said to him, like, do you want to just go sit on the beach and talk or whatever? And he was like, yeah, let's do that. And it was full moon last night, like full moon in Aquarius. I'm rising Aquarius in my astrology. So I was like feeling very much the energy. Also, I talked about my last podcast, but like on Astro Map, it like shows like, anyways, my rising Aquarius goes right through LA. So there was a lot of Aquarius energy. I felt very vibey and eclectic and bubbly. And then when we leave the restaurant, he like reaches something I've realized recently is like, in order to really enjoy this human experience, like we really need to be present in the moment. And like, I've been doing my best to like really enjoy like the first of everything. So like last night when I went on this date, when we walked out of the cafe or the restaurant, and he like reached for my hand for the first time to hold my hand. And I was like so fully present. I was like, oh, this is so beautiful, and like we walked out on the beach, and I immediately, me being me, my inner hippie, I took off my shoes, and then we started walking, and he was like still walking in his shoes. And I said to him, do you want to take your shoes off? And then he looked at me and he's like, yeah, actually I do. And then when he took them off, he was like, oh, this feels so much better. Like, thank you for the suggestion. And I'm like, of course. So then we walked to the sea, and like under the full moon, and there's like no one around, and he looks at me, and then like he like leans in, and like we have our first kiss, and it's so beautiful and like so romantic. And oh my gosh, the way that he was kissing, he was such a good kisser. I wanted to say that his name's in this podcast, his name is Kashish. He picked that name, which I love. So Cassius was like, he like leaned in, and like I just love the way he like was with my, how do we say it, like the way his body interacted with my body. I was vibing with super hard. Like he put his hand like behind my neck, and then like his other hand like behind like on my waist, and just like pulled me in. And I'm like looking up at him, and I'm like, yes. And then like we were just like making out for a while, and then I said, I want to go put my feet in the water. So we walked down and like put our feet in, and then the tide like kept going out, and I was like, I want to do it again, and then we kept walking out, and then this huge wave came in and just like got both of us so wet. And I was just happy it didn't get my phone wet. I was laughing so hard. I felt like a little kid. And then I was like, I want to go sit on the beach. And so we went back up to like the dry area, and we sat and we talked, and I invited us to do what's called an RBDSM conversation. And it's like I've talked about it in previous podcasts. You can reach out to me if you want to know. I have like a little video I can send you about how to do this conversation, but it's basically like a conscious conversation where like every RBDSM, every initial stands for something to talk about. Like to create a more conscious connection. And so he didn't know what this was. Most people outside of the conscious community don't know what this is. And so, but he was super open to doing it with me, and we had a really great conversation about like where we're at within ourselves, like what's our relationship status, what we're looking for in connection, and you know, like what would it mean for both of us if we were to have any sort of romantic connection like beyond this night. And yeah, I just felt like we were really both on the same page. Like we both knew, we were kind of like, just because of our life circumstances that we're both in, that we talked about at dinner, we both were already kind of agreeing that, well, no, weren't kind of, we agreed that we were not each other's like life partners, but we both had like a really strong attraction to each other. So we were like, how would we explore this? What does that mean for us? And that was really beautiful. And then we made out some more. And I like, basically I wrapped I like, on the beach, I don't know, we're trying to not get super sandy. We didn't have a blanket. Sorry, there's a plane outside. And so what I ended up doing was just like sitting facing him, like in his lap, and we call it lapling. Am I saying that right? Y'all who knows what this is in Tantra, you can correct me. But basically, I was facing him with my legs around his back and like sitting in his lap, and we were just like making out, and I was telling him what I liked. Like, I like it when you put your tongue in my mouth when we kiss. And he, oh my God, did all of the right things. And was also super respectful and wasn't trying to like push anything. And I just felt like I was melting. Like I was just like really deeply in my feminine energy, and felt that he was really holding space for that in a way. It's hard to put into words because I'm like, what does that mean deeply? But I just felt like, okay, I'll give you an example. We were like kissing, and then I don't think that he's even consciously aware of this, but the more that he was getting turned on, he was kind of doing this like deep growl, like in between the kissing. Like it was very primal, and my body reacted to it in a very primal way where I was just like, and and I like it when there's like this feeling of like the polarity, like the push pull, you know, like he was like pulling me in more, and I was like pushing against his chest, but also like just creating this like really beautiful and yummy like tension between us. And then we would like pause and like stare at each other underneath the full moon. And you guys, it just felt like a movie. Like I was like, I'm in LA, I'm, you know, making out with a sexy man on the beach. And we were getting like more and more passionate, and then suddenly we hear like two like old ladies like walking by us behind us. And I like look over and I look at him, and we just start laughing, and I was like, I think it's time to go off the beach. And he was like, okay. And then I had shared with him that one of my boundaries was that I don't like sleep with people right away. Like I really like to get to know them. And so he already knew that like this wasn't going to go anywhere. So he like tonight at least. And so he was like, do you want me to drive you home? And I'm like, yes, I would love that. Thank you. So he drove me back to my friend's house that I'm staying here at in Koreatown. And I just felt so like soft and like giggly and like, yeah. And let's just say that I had like really sexy dreams all night. And yeah, it's been great. I love LA. And I'm like getting ready for Burning Man, and like it's in a week and a half. I'm gonna go out there. We just had our next like camp call. Like for our camp, we do like Zoom calls to like prep everything. And I'm like co-facilitating like two like tantra conscious relating workshops, and then hosting one of my vanilla play parties there, and then hosting another. I think we're gonna do like we're just talking about it right now, but like a speed dating night. So yeah, if you're coming to Burning Man, please come hang out with me in my camp, which is called Naked Heart. It's 330 and E is the camp location, and we are the sister camp to Naked Heart. So if you see Naked Heart, our camp is literally on the same ground, same site. But yeah, I don't know. I love love, and I think it's fun to share these really juicy stories. So when it comes to like Kashish, like what what is going to happen next, that's what's beautiful. I have no clue. I have no clue. Do I know what I want next? I definitely want to hang out with him again. I definitely want to go on another date. I definitely want to touch his body again. He has a very beautiful body, and kiss him. Um, and other than that, I'm super open for the exploration. I think that's what's beautiful about not needing, like, for me, I'm so locked in on what I want in a life partner, like someone I want to build a life with. Like him and I were even talking about, like, do we want to have kids, and at one point do we want to have kids? Because for me, I know that I'm not going to pop out children this year. Even if I met my life partner, I still have a lot of stuff that I am excited to create in the world, in the physical reality, before I have children. So I see that happening in like the next, like, maybe 3 to 5 years from now. And then, like, is the person that I'm talking to, or do they want that in that timeline? And also what's beautiful about all of this is, like, everything can change at every moment. So, like, even when we talk about these things, I just know exactly, like, the kind of person that I want to build my life with. And when I have that, because I have that locked in, it helps me to create, it's like, because I have that, I create a safe container with my masculine energy of, like, this person, I know what category to let them in my life. It sounds transactional in that way, but it's not what I mean. It's more like my feminine energy can feel safe to be soft and be like, okay, I can open up to you because I know, like, the extent of our relationship, and I know where we're going. Like, I know the container that we are going to play within. Like, if this is the playground, I know what's happening. I know, like, like, how far I can go. I know how deep I can go with this person, and we can play. I think in the past, when I wasn't so clear on what I wanted, I kind of, like, I knew what I wanted halfway, and then I would try basically I would, like, project the rest onto the person without realizing it consciously. I think a lot of us do this. And then I would try and, like, fit that person into the mold that I had in my head, which was really just a projection, and half of it I wasn't even sure if it's what I wanted. So if you're not clear on what you want in a partner, that usually means that you need to just spend more time getting to know yourself, which is a beautiful exploration. Like, if you haven't found yourself, I don't know what that was. Like, LA is so funny. I don't know if you could hear that, but there was, like, a huge banging thing outside on the street. LA is funny like that. It's like New York. There's always funny things happening. But basically, if you don't know who you are, you're not going to be able to ever find or attract in your life partner, because you need to do that first, like, in order to have the vibrational match, because otherwise you're going to attract in someone who's halfway your life partner or whatever. Like, we are attracting in mirrors to who we are. And so if you don't know who you are in the mirror, you're going to attract in, like, all sorts of things that do not align, or halfway align, or kind of align. And so for me, I've spent a lot of time finding out who I am and, like, grounding in myself. And when you know who you are, and also very important, when you love who you are, the rest of it gets mirrored in, and like that. Basically, I am attracting in now people who love themselves and know who they are and are grounded in themselves, and like grounded in their authentic self, And so if you spend that time to get to know yourself, then you can also, what I highly recommend and invite and invoke you to do, is spend some time sitting down and asking yourself, who do I want to co-create a life with? Like, what do they look like? What do they sound like? How do they feel? How do they make me feel? And then also, what my friend recommended is not only what you are wanting, but also what you can offer the relationship. So I also did this, like, I sat down and I was like, what can I offer this person? Like, what are my superpowers? What are my things that I'm willing to share in our co-creation? Because we're, like, building something together, where it's, like, hopefully spiraling upward and becoming more expansive. So in the past, when I didn't know any of those things, I was basically, like, attracting in people that, like when you don't know who you are, it's something what I call not fully integrated. And so there's like different parts of your psyche that are just popping up and taking the lead on that day. So like the Brittnee who's 7 years old and, you know, whose dad got cancer and is feeling very unsafe and wants to be with a partner who makes them feel very safe. Like that person chose this specific partner, you know, but that Brittnee is not fully representing who I am. And so, you know, there's another Brittnee that really wanted freedom and didn't feel that as a teenager and didn't feel that in my first marriage. And so I attracted in a partner who gave me a lot of freedom, but didn't give me a lot of safety or the felt sense of safety in the relationship, you know, as much as I'm talking about the co-creation, because we all are responsible for our own self-regulation and, you know, our own safety on a baseline level. But there's also the co-creation of the shared energy of you with your partner. And if you are not feeling safe, then you're going to attract in someone who keeps reaffirming that. It's really crazy when you think about it, that we're basically just attracting in a reflection of where we are vibrationally in that moment. It's like, kind of sucks to have to like take that much responsibility, but it's also all valid, because then once you are willing to take that responsibility and willing to realize that you are the master creator of your reality, then you can start fucking making your reality, which is so beautiful. So for me, I sat down and I was like, what do I want in a partner? What do I want them to feel like? What do I want them to look like? What do I want them to be in the world? So basically for me, it's like I just want someone that I don't need them to be doing the same things that I'm doing. I just want to feel that they are doing something that I'm proud of, you know, like that I can like brag about my partner and be like, yeah, that's cool, you know, like stuff like that. So it doesn't need to be super specific, but it's really important that how you feel around your partner and whatever is like deal breakers for you, you know, in the 3D reality. Like for instance, if you want kids, then you need to put down, I want to be with someone who also wants kids and wants to have kids with me. And then, yeah, I think I lost my train of thought. But what I was just trying to say is that now that I have locked that in, whenever I'm meeting someone, I can very quickly decipher if they meet this this desire and this want of who I want to be with as a co-creator life partner. And if they're not, it doesn't mean that like it's all over. And this is one thing that I was talking to Cassius about last night at dinner, was like, you know, my main important thing is if I like someone, I want to have them in my life, you know, and I want to like protect the connection between what we have. So like more like a friendship first. And then basically if we decided, we both are consciously aware that we're not life partners, right? So that's the context of what I'm talking about. And then once we decide, okay, we're not life partners, then what is the connection that we want to have with each other? Do we want to be friends? Okay, we want to be friends. Okay, do we want to add some romantic stuff on top of that? Can we both handle that in our psyche? Are we both fully integrated where we're able to, you know, have a conscious connection where we're communicating all these things, we're both feeling safe, it's feeling mutually beneficial. And one thing that I realized for myself is that even when I'm in connections where I know they're not my life partner and, you know, we're friends who are adding a romantic or a romantic/sexual connection on top, for me, there are still some like wants, criteria, needs, or whatever that I have in order to feel like fully yummy and like supported in that, and like feel like that's flowing for me. And for me, that means that the man shows up. Like for me, I choose to operate in my core feminine energy these days. So the felt sense that I want in my body is that when I'm around this man, I can just relax. I can take a deep breath. I can exhale. My voice starts becoming softer, and it's because of the energy that this man carries, and also it's how this man chooses to use his energy to make my life better in some way. Because I know that my energy and how I choose to show up is obviously going to make their life better. Like I'm I'm a very like loyal, protective. Like I know what I can offer. Let's just say that. I know what I offer to the relationship, and that's like emotional, that's in the physical, that's all the things. Um and so for instance with like Cassius last night, like he picks me up. I was with some other friends like playing volleyball until the sun went down, and then I wanted to meditate on the beach. And so I said to him like, can you pick me up here and then we can drive together to the restaurant? Like I could have walked to the restaurant, but I wanted to use that time to meditate. And so I just asked him, is it okay if you like pick me up here? Is that cool with you? And he was like, yeah, of course. Like, do your thing, have a good meditation. And then I said, you know, where I was, I'm staying in Koreatown here. And I forgot that, like, so in Koreatown, when I left to go to the beach, which is like 45-minute drive away, yesterday, it was hot and sunny in Koreatown. And I forget that on the beach, it's usually overcast and not as hot. And so I got there and it was already kind of cold when I got there. And then when the sun went down, it got very cold. So I asked Cassius, I was like, do you think you could bring me a jacket? Like, I'm sorry. I know I haven't even met you yet, but like, I'm really cold right now. And he was like, of course, like, I'll bring you a jacket. So this is what I mean. It's like these may seem like small things to you, but to me, these are things that make me feel very in my feminine energy. Like he really is using his energy to protect, to show up for me, to make me feel like I can just relax and like he's got my back, you know? And these are things that like just make me feel really good. And then also like at dinner, like I didn't even get a chance to offer to like pay, like to go halfway on paying for dinner. Like he just immediately paid for it. And then I was like, wow, are you sure? And like, and he's like, yeah, of course. Like I want to get dinner. Like I invited you on a date. And I was like, okay, thank you. Like I agree with that. That's within my value system. And that's not to say that that needs to be anyone else's, but for me, like in order to feel like I am feeling good around someone and like and deeply in my feminine, it's just nice when a guy wants to, like out of his own accord, not because he's trying to get anything out of me, just wants to pay for dinner. Like why? I don't understand why this has become such a big topic. Like I see like on Instagram and in like in other people's podcasts where it's like, should the guy pay for dinner? No, I don't want to pay. Why don't we have equal rights? And I'm like, I just like it when a guy buys me dinner. Like I don't think it needs to become like a political issue. I'm just like, can we just do that and like not have to have it be any expectations that like he's gonna get laid or something. It's just like, you know, we're having like if I'm taking time out of my day and a man invites me on a date, I think it's nice that he pays for dinner. I think that's great. Like why does it have to be, I just like I don't even want to say anymore. I just don't think it needs to be any more complicated than that. And also I didn't expect it, and also even though I didn't expect it, I really appreciated it, and I said this to him. And then it just made me feel really good, you know. It made me feel soft and in my feminine. Like I don't have to do anything. Like my favorite thing is when I go out with a man and I don't have to think about where we're going. I don't have to deal with directions. I don't have to deal with money. I can just be fully present, be fully in my body, feeling my feelings, and like using my feminine energy to also help whoever I'm with be more in their body, more feeling alive, you know? Like when we got to the beach and I was like, do you want to take your shoes off? I want to go in the water. Do you want to come in the water for me? And then we were by like a lifeguard station, and he was like, do you want to go sit on the steps when we first got to the beach? And I looked at him, I was like, I want to sit in the sand. Like, are you okay with that? And he was like, oh yeah, I'm totally fine. I just figured you wouldn't want to like get your like pants dirty or something. And I was like, no, honey, like I live in Thailand. Like we get right up in this nature. And then when we were on the beach, it's just nice. Like we're in the sand, you know, it's okay to get a little dirty sometimes, like with sand or whatever. Like we had it on our feet and our hands, but it's like, whatever, this is so fun. This is like what being alive is. And I think we both were feeling that like aliveness and that like primal energy going through both of us. And when we drove home, he like held my hands and we were just talking about like, I really would love to go hiking with him. And we were talking about our favorite sci-fi shows. We both get super nerdy about like quantum physics and sci-fi stuff. So yeah, it was beautiful. I feel like this podcast is super rambly, but I'm feeling pretty like, as I would call it, like cozy and like mushy today. I feel like I want to just like cuddle and watch TV. And also, I love sharing love stories. So I thought that you would appreciate this. I will keep you updated on how this connection goes. And also, I wanted to share this story because, you know, I have like a girlfriend that lives here in LA, and she was I said that funny, but I just meant like one of my girlfriends who lives here, she messaged me and she said, I put you in this Facebook group about like dangerous men in LA. And I was like, okay. We have one of these on the island. Well, on Koh Phangan, we have a women's Facebook group, but a lot of times people post in there about like bad experiences with men to kind of just like warn other women. And that's what this one was. Is like, you can check on there if the guy you're about to go on a date with is like, you know, I don't know, a serial killer or like dating someone else already or something, whatever. I think these have their place. I've used it. I've used the Facebook myself before. With the Facebook group, like it helped me in the past in these kind of situations. And also, I feel like it is something that I just think today sometimes women get jaded and they are like, you know, are there any good men out there? You know, and I'm just here to tell you there are so many good men out there. And when you put that energy out there and you like believe that, and also you have good boundaries, um, they will come into your life. You know, like I'm sharing the super positive story. And also I was just talking, I went and played volleyball with my friend Devin yesterday. And then we went out and like we're all hanging out and getting drinks at a cafe. And I was telling him about like, you know, how I just opened Bumble and stuff this week. And I was telling, it's kind of hard to put into words, but I was like, I feel like I'm like this kind of like innocent creature who's been like tucked away like on an island for so many years. And then I come out and there's just like an overwhelming amount of men that are like flowing into my vortex, like through these dating apps. And some of them are amazing. And then like two of them, it's interesting. I don't know if you can hear this, but people are honking outside like, oh my God, welcome to LA. But two of them were men that like checked, I'm putting this in quotations, checked a lot of boxes, like on what I would desire in a man, like someone who has their life together, like in their career, financially, tall, dark, handsome, you know, like someone who's like more like very deeply in their masculine energy. And one of the guys, he basically just like invited me over to have beer in his fridge. Like I was like, I said, I don't drink alcohol and I'm not interested. And he's like, oh, I'm sure I have something else in my fridge that you can drink. And he said, I didn't think that you would be scared to have a man invite you over. And I said, I never said I was scared. I'm not into low effort situations. Like, bye. You know, like, why would a woman go over to a guy's house that she just met on a dating app to have a beer from his, like, what? Please don't do that. If someone invites you, I don't care if they live in a mansion in Hollywood, if they do not take the effort to like worship you as the goddess that you are, like, do not give, like, I just no longer was engaged with this person. And then the other guy that I had an interesting conversation with, um, everything was going really well. I was like talking to him about what I do. He was telling me what he did. And, you know, we both have traveled a lot and built many companies. And then just out of the blue, he just sends me like porn. And I was like, what? and, and I just didn't reply. I was kind of like in shock. It was like, you know, those like one time only on WhatsApp, like you only can like view it once. I don't know if it was like him in it. I didn't really understand what was going on, but I was like, no, thank you. And then the next day, so I just didn't respond. And the next day he wrote me and he was like, so when am I going to be able to see you? Like, when can I take you out? And I told him probably never, like laughing emoji. And then I was like, I am not into men sending me porn. And then I put in like parentheticals. I was like, unless it's something that we made together, like unless it's like, you know, a video we made together. And then he was like, it's just so interesting when you're dealing with someone who's not fully integrated, because it's like the part of him that sent that porn, I think, was like maybe some like inner teenager who just like wanted to get laid or whatever, jerk off to the idea of me. And then when I was very clear and like grounded in my boundaries and like also nice, you know, but I was just like, yeah, dude, this is not happening. He just wrote me back and he was like, okay, it sounds like this is not going to work. I hope you have a pleasant time in LA and I wish you the best. And I'm like, oh, I got like the adult version of him again. Like, why couldn't I have had that the whole way through? But again, I'm here for the fully integrated person. And so I'm sharing those two stories also to tell you that like those things didn't traumatize me. I didn't even really get bothered by them. I just found it like interesting that men think that this is gonna work. I mean, like think about it. If you've never met someone online, you're talking to them on like over a text message for the first time, like to explore the idea of meeting up to see if there's a connection, and then someone just randomly sends you like a porn video. I don't understand why people think that that is like how was I meant to respond to that? Was I just meant to be like, yeah, great, yeah, let's do that, yeah? I was like literally, I'm just wondering like what was going through this man's brain to think like, yeah, this is a really great idea. I'm just gonna send her some porn and like she's gonna be like super into that, you know, and it's gonna like turn her on. And I'm like, no, no. I literally was like, next. Like I said that out loud. I was like, yeah, bye. And this is the attitude that you have to have, because you gotta like. There's this really great guy on Instagram called Christian Walker. I highly recommend. Like, he's like this gay guy that yells at women like in a motivational way about like he calls it like dusties, like these men are just kind of like losers even if they have money, because they are not appreciating women and they're not like respecting and like treating them in the way that they deserve to be to be treated. And he calls them dusties, like kind of like yeah, like next, like these like dusty men who are just like kind of losers and stuff. And I just find it so funny. I have watched those after my last breakup. I watched his videos so much, and it really helped me to reframe my thinking of like, you know, dating like loser, immature, like man children. I was just like, oh yeah, that's exactly what was happening. Yeah, okay, that's not what I want in my life. So highly recommend Christian Walker if you need some motivational speeches and get yelled at in a positive way. So yeah, that's dating in LA. It's been super interesting so far, but I'm only on number 1. I have another date tomorrow who is more of like a work opportunity. This person works in film here. But you know, I'm just like networking and seeing what's out there. And I'm really excited to make the vanilla play parties here in LA. So if you are part of any sex positive community here or a conscious community, or like in any way, if you have a venue that you think that I would be able to host the parties, like I did them in my villa on Kopanjang, and I also did them in like a penthouse loft event space that my friend has in Berlin. And I would love to do them again in like a, like if you've ever been to one of the parties, you know, it's like the vibe is like luxury, lush, you know, like just like soft cushions. We always have like some sort of element like a sauna, cold plunge, or a pool. So something that just, it makes it feel like really nice, like health and wellness, but also like a vibey house party, you know? 'Cause my friend yesterday that I'm staying with, he was like, what about, he's thinking to buy like a art space here, like an art warehouse, in downtown. And he was like, do you think you'd want to do the parties there if I bought this? And I said to him, like, as long as we could make it like vibey and cozy, like, because like imagine, especially as a woman, you know, like when I go into Kit Kat, it's just like, if you don't know, it's like a sex club in Berlin, and it's like dark and dungeony, like that doesn't make my body want to open up. You know, like a woman, like she wants to go into a place that is first clean and like good lighting, soft music, like feels sexy, and like it literally, like we interact with our surroundings, and so like the vibe of the place is also going to reflect, it's going to affect, I guess is a better word, the vibe of how you're feeling in the space. So like in Kit Kat, they on Saturdays they have what's called the jazz room that's open, and I like that room because it's like has like these like dark red velvet couches and beds with like these really nice like velvet covers, and everyone's like laying around and it's looking sexy, and like that's, you know, it's a nice vibe. But like my parties are more vanilla in the sense of like light energy. And so even if it was in a warehouse, I would want it to be like really nice, like maybe like white or cream cushions and just like softness. Like let's bring some soft, light energy into our sexual spaces. This is what I'm here for, like clean energy, connection, softness, safety. Like these are all things that I create within the Vanilla Play parties, and I would love to and I want to make them here, and I'm going to make them here in LA. So if you want to be part of that, let me know. And yeah, I'm just sending you guys all lots of love. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go work out in the gym upstairs and maybe go in the pool and just keep vibing. So I'm sending you a lot of positive energy. If you have any funny dating experiences that you want to share, please let me know. You can send it to me on Instagram or put it in the comments. I think it's fun to talk about these things because one, it's healing, and also two, it's like we're not alone. Like we're all just going through it, trying to figure out connection in this crazy world. And the idea of connection is changing so much right now. Like our framework for how we're relating to each other is completely crumbling. Like we don't want to do it how our parents did it. And yet we don't necessarily have a like collective agreed upon framework. So it's kind of the Wild West out there when it comes to dating. And I think it's really great to like share stories and start like helping each other start building this framework. That's what we're doing when we share stories of like, this is working, this is not working, I like this, I don't like this, and then we can build a framework together and co-create it. So yeah, sending you all lots of love, and I will see you in the next podcast.